longtime friend Leigh Steinberg. Leigh, we go back to 1998, I think, but that's another story for another time. In interest of your very valuable time, first of all, let's get one thing off the table because it's all over the place, and that's the Wonderlic score of 13 that Tua Tagovailoa had reportedly posted. I happen to not place much credence in them, but wanted to know what your thoughts were regarding that bit of news.
Well, I'm not sure how that number was translated. All I will tell you is that we carefully screen clients to make sure that they're bright and that they're aware. And all I can tell you is Stu is very bright, and I've spent a lot of time with him. He has a quick, facile mind, and you could not be anything but bright to master a very complex playbook in real time. So he's got all the requisite intelligence and skill that he needs. And this is a period where there's not much sports content because sports aren't being played. So the only thing going on really is the draft. And we have a million different rumors going around. Tua is just fine. I'd be very confident putting him behind center and having him run my team for years.
And then there's this matter of the other injury that he supposedly had. And I'm asking because in the last 2 days, all of a sudden this percolated up, and I thought,
oh, he doesn't have another injury. There are two doctors, one the team doctor at Alabama, and another is the Chip Rout in Houston who treated him. They've both seen him. They say he's healthy and there's not much chance there'll be a recurrence. So I suppose that given the amount of different body parts there are, that there could be rumors on every one of them to last us until the draft. But the truth is he's healthy, and he just did a very positive workout day, pro scouting day, where he's lively and jumped around. The bottom line is this: he'll be ready for training camp, and he'll be ready for his rookie year. And these players don't get hurt hang gliding at Club Med or playing badminton. They get hurt hanging in the pocket and doing what a team asks them to do.
Can you say that one more time? Because there was some sort of, we were using StreamYard, folks, and there was a bit of a jump, and I thought you said he was going to be ready for training camp, and then something got jumbled. Could you repeat that, please?
So the doctors are saying that Tua will be ready for training camp. He'll have a very normal first year and a long, effective career. Now, these players who get injured, of which a high percentage of players coming out of college season are injured, these players are not hurt hang gliding at Club Med. They're not playing a game that's badminton or checkers. It's a very tough physical game. So a quarterback who hangs in there and tries to get every last advantage will get hit.
Makes sense. What is it? How much of a challenge has it been in getting ready for the draft? We're now 6 days in the middle of a pandemic.
So when I started back in 1975, the draft was actually held in January, and they had game film, and the players played in all-star games, and they drafted. And we've done a pretty interesting study comparing 1975 without a scouting combine, without pro scouting days, without visits by teams to various franchises, and found that the 1975 draft and the drafts before them were every bit as effective and sometimes more effective than the drafts that occur with all this information. The best predictor, Zennie, of future success is past success, and that comes from game film. And this year they were able to have all-star games. They had the scouting combine. Players were able to do the physical tests. They were able to meet one-on-one with teams. They've been able to do Zoom interviews. And I think they'll draft just with the same effectiveness that they always have.
Jeudy is another name that is I've seen him go as high as 4, and it was remarkable. Talk more about Jeudy, because not enough has been said about him compared to to Tua, for obvious reasons. I think quarterback.
I think Jeudy by far is the most disciplined route runner that we see in college football today. He runs precision routes. He's very good at doing it. And he has explosion when he comes off the ball. So I think when they look at game film, they're going to see an incredibly disciplined athlete who's got probably the greatest propensity for coming right in and starting right away of anyone.
And so let's shift gears too. I want to get your thoughts on where sports goes and should go in the middle of what is, I just have to say, really, is a horrifying situation. It really is.
There are various sports that have various concepts that they're thinking about. Baseball is thinking of going to Arizona, having all the players there, and playing in the Arizona stadia that are there for spring training. And they would test the players, they would quarantine them in essence, and they play without live audiences. And that would bring morale back, because it's not only that we're not playing sports, we don't have them as entertainment. And I think that shortly here, the time's going to have to be focused on how we restart the economy, because when you have 23 million people out of work, and when the percentage of people out of work is going to start to approach the depression, we also have to factor in what happens when you have people out of work who have no money, who are depressed, and domestic violence and alcoholism and all sorts of other social costs. It's not just the marginal difference in how we're preventing corona. There are other interests here to look at. Now, hockey is talking about playing in North Dakota, doing the same thing. They bring all the players in. Basketball is talking about Las Vegas. They would take the teams that were ahead in the standings and would have qualified for the playoffs, and then maybe having a few play-in games and then going straight to the playoffs.
What are your thoughts on, it seems, the rising number of athletes like Von Miller has corona? I mean, are leagues now themselves concerned that there's not enough tests for all the athletes, both college and pro?
Well, they certainly would find enough tests for a group of 30 baseball players, or a group of 15 basketball players. In other words, there'd be no shortage there. College football has larger numbers, but again, we have a smaller group here, and you just can do the best you can.
You think that there'll be a better chance of recovery because the athletes have doctors that are they have better access to doctors and healthcare? Or
yes, and you can take the temperatures every day. You have testing that you can do, and if someone happens to come down with coronavirus, they can simply put them in quarantine and take them out of the mix.
And so, in closing out of, as I promised, 10 minutes to your handler, it's what's I'm going to ask an obvious softball question. What's different about this draft for you?
So it got cut right before pro scouting days would have happened. So there are no pro scouting days, although in Tua's case, he went ahead and they held a pro scouting day done by Chris Cabot, my partner, and filmed it and sent it off to teams. So they see a very frisky, active Tua out there, and they can see how healthy he is. But again, I think that draft night itself, while it won't be in Las Vegas, that's often been the key. for certain players, most players don't go to the draft. It's just first rounders, and even some of them don't go. So in 2016, Paxton Lynch had a party in Deltona Beach with all his friends. In 2017, Patrick Mahomes had a party in Tyler, Texas. So I think that that players will be with their very close family members and a few friends. I guess the limit is 9, but they'll be fine.
So Tua's going to be with his family, but you can't have those big blowouts like you used to, except maybe
right. It's going to be more compact.
Leigh, I'll let you get back to work. I appreciate the time.
Zennie, it's always a pleasure.
Hey, stick around. Don't go anywhere. Everybody, we'll be back 6 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. We have Dan Rasher coming on, and since Dan was mentioned specifically in the Raiders case hearing this morning, I'm sure a lot of you are going to have questions for him. Stay tuned and subscribe to Zennie62 on YouTube. Thanks, Leigh.
My pleasure.
Got it. Yeah,